Hello viewers, welcome to another interesting discussion on data security this time. We have Mr. Philip Potfas from Cososis, based out of Romania. They have been doing a lot of work in terms of data security across the world. What kind of security problems have been experienced from your experience?
There are a few predominant issues that came with COVID and with a majority of users working from home. First of all, working as individuals, you are no longer aware that you are actually working with your company's data and you have access to a lot of sensitive information. And some users maybe cannot make the difference between the company and the corporate data and their own personal files, since they are working from home. So this can lead to a lot of data leakage, either by accident or in some cases by malicious intent, right? Compared to working environment where they were at the office and they knew that they had a close environment, they knew that they are being watched and so on. So this was one of the main changes that happened, and also there are many other attacks, let's say, related to COVID, a lot of phishing and other activities that are not necessarily in our area, but are also related to security and are worth mentioning, because nowadays these kind of attacks are very frequent, and the users are again more prone to maybe click by accident on some malicious links and so on.
I believe your specialization is in endpoint security. How significant is that?
Yes, correctly. So we offer an endpoint level data loss prevention solution, which helps organizations protect their endpoints, which is one of the key points where the data leakage incidents can occur, right? So that's why we want to stop those data leaks right at the start. And especially in a working from home environment, this endpoint security is very important, plays a crucial role, because we can no longer rely on users being connected to our protected network. And even if we can maybe force some users to connect through VPN or through other means, we can force them to connect through our secure network. Still, they can connect to other networks that we cannot protect. And since they already have access to all the sensitive information that our company handles, basically they can do whatever they can with that information. And this is where an endpoint level solution comes into place, because an endpoint level solution usually has an agent installed on that computer. So then it's no longer dependent on the network, right? It will still continue to protect that computer, even if the computer is completely offline. So we can make sure that all that sensitive information is still protected, even if the computer is not connected to our network.
See, cloud has been in use quite a bit, particularly during the COVID times. So, and there have been concerns about security as far as usage of cloud ambience atmosphere is concerned.
That's definitely true. We've seen, especially during the pandemic, we've seen a lot of companies migrating to cloud just for easier management. Because if all the people are working from home, nobody wants to go actually to the office and work on a local physical server, right? They want easy access on a cloud server. And when we talk about the actual product architecture and deployment, definitely we've seen an increase in cloud deployments, and we've seen a lot of existing customers looking to migrate from on-premise to cloud just to have an easier management on the solution. And of course, the actual end users, they are also working with a lot of cloud platforms nowadays. Email storage and many other applications are on cloud. So what we do to protect our customers' data is we can monitor the file transfers that the end users can do to this kind of cloud applications. So if they are trying to leak some of the sensitive company data to these cloud applications, then we can prevent them from doing that.
What does your client roster look like? What kind of customers do you have in India and abroad?
Yeah, this is a great question. So there are, of course, some verticals that are more prone to onboard a DLP solution, just due to the fact that they either handle a huge amount of very sensitive information, or that they also fall under different regulations. So when we talk about India, for example, banks fall under the RBI compliance, which is a very big component, right? And they must assure that they are compliant with their regulations. Otherwise, that can have huge implications further on. So these kind of companies, off the start, they will need some kind of DLP solution like we offer, right? But of course, there are other private companies that can be from software developing or healthcare or pharma and many other verticals that they don't necessarily have a regulation, but they have a lot of critical information. It can be either their intellectual property when we talk about software or pharma or healthcare, or it can be customer database, or we have a lot of outsourcing companies that work with their customers, so they deal with the customer sensitive information. So they need to make sure that they protect that. I think worldwide we have close to 13 million users, something like that. In India, I would say we have some hundreds of customers.
Okay.
Yes.
In our journalism parlance, we always say that the crook is always ahead of the cop. The crook is always ahead of the cop. So the cyber crooks also must be ahead of the security agencies like yours. So how do you deal with that kind of a situation? Number one. Number two, have you come across any of these cyber crooks being ahead of you or posing challenges, particularly during the COVID period?
Yeah, this is a question that is, I think, is mostly focused on outsider threats. We deal a lot with insider threats, but even here it can still apply. So, like I said earlier, most of the data leakage scenarios happen by accident, right? Usually, our employees are not aware of the data that they are transferring, and they can transfer critical data by mistake just because they are not aware that they shouldn't transfer that. But of course, we have a small percentage of users that actually want to take that data outside to steal it. It can be intellectual property, or maybe even your customer database or financial records. They can steal that information from the company and then sell it outside. So these kind of users, usually they will try to figure out, they probably understand that they are being tracked and the company has some kind of security solutions like a DLP implemented. And then they will try to figure out ways to go around those solutions. So we do see these scenarios, but usually we are one step ahead of them, because our own teams actually work on testing these scenarios and try to get into the mindset of these people that would want to leak this data. So we try to actually be in front of them. It's very hard to have full protection and full security infrastructure
Yeah.
from one solution, right? There is no one magic solution that can cover everything, right? You need to think about inside the threats, you need to think about outside, you need to think about endpoint, cloud, network, and so on. So there are a lot of solutions that you need to implement before you can be close to finish, right? And then those become obsolete and you need to start again, right? So it's an ever-changing environment. But of course, you need to identify what's the most critical pain that you would like to solve, and then start from there as a primary target, and then add extra layers as we go. And it's important to work based on projects, because if you start deploying 5 solutions at once, the chances are that you'll probably end up with a huge chaos. So it's important to work on separate projects, and then develop and get the feedback from the earlier projects and implement better and better solutions until your environment is pretty secure.
Nice talking to you, Mr. Potfast. It has been a pleasure. A lot of interesting information has come in, and thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much for your time. Namaskar.
Yeah, thank you as well. It was nice talking to you again. See you next time.
See you next time. Thank you.